Hello there, it is me, Tarman, and welcome back. Today we are going to be painting Lieutenant Titus. So let's hop into this awesome figure. I have already went ahead and put him together. I did leave his head separate. That is just because of painting. So the first thing we're going to be doing is spraying this guy black and misting him white. So next time you see him, he'll be black and white. And here we are. So now the first thing we're going to do, we're going to pick out the blue. And the blue we're going to be using is this. And there we are. I put about 2 coats of it on. Now the next thing we're going to do, we're going to pick out all the black bits, which is his joints and some of the metally bits. And the black I'm going to be using is this. And here we are. Now he's all picked out blue. So the next thing we're going to do, we're going to pick out his belt. And we're going to start with this. And then we're going to go over it with this. And there we are. Now we're going to go over the brown with one more color. And we're going to be using this. And there we are. Now we're going to pick out the tan bits. And we are going to use this. And there we are. Now we're just going to pick out some of the red bits. And we're going to start with this. There we are. Now we're going to go over the purity seals, and we're going to go over it with this. And there we are. I just went ahead and picked out the knee pad with a basic white, but now we're going to highlight all the cloth bits, and we're going to be using this. And there we are. Also picked out the little Ultramar symbol on his knee pad. Just used the same blue, but now everything else is picked out. So we're at a stage now where I'm going to put the decal on. And I'm just going to use the standard ultramarine decal. So next time you see him, he'll have that decal on. But while that decal is setting, let's pick out the little gold band on his cloth. And we're just going to be using this. And there we are. So now what we're going to do right now, we're going to put a wash over the entire Space Marine. And we are going to be using this bad boy. And there we are. You should end up with something like that. So while this is drying, we are gonna hop over to the face. And I'm just gonna paint it the usual way that I do paint it. So I'm really gonna be using these. And then I'm gonna be mixing this into this one to add in a highlight. But obviously, this won't be the base. Now the next thing is just to highlight it. And we're going to be using this. And there we are. Now it's time for the next step. We're just going to add the white to that skin. And there we are. Now we just gotta add in the brown we used for the belt, and we're gonna be using this. And there we are. All right, now we're back to this. So the next thing really to do is to clear coat it a flat to bring it down, and then we're gonna move on to all of the silvery bits. So let's do that. So the next thing to do, we're gonna pick out all of the gold bits, and we're gonna start with this. And there we are. Now that that's picked up, we're going to go the extra mile and we're going to highlight it. We are going to use this. Kaboom! All right, now there's one more thing to put over the gold, and this. And there we are. Now we're going to do the silvery bits, like the gun, chainsword, you know, etc. And we're going to be using this. And we're going to highlight it with this. And there we are. Now we just need to go over the silvery bits with just one more color. And we're going to use this. There we are. Now we just need to do the chipping for the paint, and we're going to be using this. And then to highlight some of the chips, like the deeper chips, we're going to go back to this to show the bare metal. But let's start with this. And there we are. That's pretty much it. Really, the last thing to do is just the base him, and I'm just going to take some dirt and put some glue down and base him real quick. So next time you see him, he'll be done. And there we are. That's pretty much it for this video. I just used a pigment powder to add in that like dust and dirt on his boots. But yeah, that's it. I hope you guys did enjoy this video. I definitely enjoyed this figure. Painting this figure. I'm a big fan of Space Marine. Love Captain Titus, you know. But without further ado, enjoy this little montage of this guy.